Let's see, are we live? All right, we are live. So I'm doing things a little bit different today. I am doing my podcast live, Today's Dream, Tomorrow's Reality, with Shawn White. And so I'm just going to do a little touch of my intro just to let you know who I am in case you're new to me. This podcast is sponsored by the Enlightened Peach, and I'm a master transformational coach and a hypnotist specializing in habit change. And this is all about embracing our mosaic life. Now, that means that it's recognizing that all the pieces of our lives, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. So you can change just one single thing, and we're different people. And so, with that, I would like to share also that this podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. Now, you guys are getting it live, and so you know it's not edited, but I will be sharing this onto my different channels. And just so that they all know, I'm not going to be editing anything from this either. So Shawn is here, right here with us, and it's really cool. We met in a group somewhere. We were talking about it before we got on here. We don't even remember what group it was, and that's okay. But it's like one of those things where you see people in groups and you connect with them, you chat with them, and then they actually become friends. And so I've been on his podcast. And now I've got him on mine. So I'm super excited to have him here. And one of the things that I found out after we connected and did the podcast, that he actually is local to me. Of course, we haven't met in person yet, but we will. We're going to be planning a coffee shop event, I'm sure. And he has a workshop coming up that he's going to tell you about. And I don't remember what the date is and everything, but if it's possible, I might be able to go to that and then meet him in person. But regardless, he has so many similar ideas about life and things that when we have our conversations, it seems to go kind of deep in a lot of places, and then it just gets all over the place. We were just on here a few moments ago, just chatting a little bit, and almost thought, wish we could just go ahead and hit live now, because we miss a lot of that great stuff. But that's okay, right? Because if it's important enough, we'll be talking about it anyway. But what I would like to do first, as I know you and I, which another synchronicity was, we found out that we went one of the one of the hypnosis schools I went to. You went to the same school, so we were there at different times. I did mine all, but you did yours online as well, right?
Correct.
You didn't do yours in person. Okay, all right. I was thinking that. So anyway, we do have a lot in common. But before I get him to explain a lot of his stuff, I would like to ask you, Shawn, what is it that got you started on this journey? Where were you when you said, I think I've got this calling I want to share with people? Do you
Yeah,
remember?
yeah. Actually, I vividly remember, very remember. So before I even get into that, let me give everybody a little bit backstory about me because I believe it's very important in which we'll set up on what we're talking about and moving forward as well. So my name is Shawn A. White, originally a Brooklyn, New York native, been here for about 26 years. Spent some time down in Miami, Florida. Been there about 14 years. Great people, great weather. But to be honest with you, it's a little too hot for me, right? So couldn't do Miami, Florida. Been here in Atlanta, Georgia. So I've been here for about 8 years. A little bit more about me. I'm the founder and creator of, as you see here, called Transformation Greatness, which my brand is all about motivating, encouraging, and inspiring the masses. And with that, been given the gift of speaking, being a coach, a hypnotherapist practitioner, as you alluded to, a radio and TV personality, and so much more. Now, to answer your question, what gave me the inspiration to really go down this path? Well, it was at a point where I was at a situation in life, and many of you, I'm pretty sure, can relate to this because we all have crossroads in our lives. For me, it's when I was here in Atlanta and I was brought up here under some very interesting circumstances, to say the least. But nevertheless, I was at a point in my life where I was broken emotionally, financially, spiritually, every which way in which you can think about. I was homeless. I was in a shelter. And quite frankly, I really didn't have a direction of life on where I was going. The turning point was through divine intervention. And I
As
love sharing.
always, right?
Exactly. I love sharing the story. I just came out of service and I was feeling good. And I remember I was listening to my headphones and I was reading the word. I had the Bible next to me. Now, if any of you are familiar with the movie The Matrix with Keanu Reeves, which most of us are, there's a scene in that movie where he's walking down New York City and he's contemplating on what he's going to do with his life. He feel like he's at the crossroads, dead end
Hmm.
spot. And then that's when Morpheus comes and speaks to him and comes to his attention. Now, there's a part also where everybody is just still, literally. That for me was the same way. It stood, everything, it's like time just stood still. And at that point, God mentioned to me and he told me that I've been hearing your cries and concerns. And you're going to have a brand called Transformation Greatness, which you're going to be able to motivate, encourage, and inspire my people. Travel all around the world, showing them that it's possible to overcome their self-limited doubts and beliefs. It goes on and on and on. I want to kind of paraphrase it. So I didn't believe it. I'm like, okay, maybe it's my imagination. Maybe it was just me, my mind playing tricks on me. It was hot that day. I'm like, okay, whatever. Right. So then everything went back normal. But then within a span of 5 seconds later, everything went still from the cars to the people, everything. And the voice got even louder. So I took my headphones off, and guess what? This is how I knew it was God, because the same way you can hear the sound of my voice, that's the way that he spoke to me. And at that point, I had a decision to make. This is where the crossroad was at. I had a decision to make. I can either ignore that, keep on doing what I'm doing. And there's a very strong possibility we wouldn't be having this conversation because I'll be
Hmm.
dead, right? Or be obedient to the calling. At that point, I made a committed decision and I just been building my brand, the mission, the assignment ever since. That was back in 2016. So here it is, you're talking about an 8 year span. And you know something? Each and every single day that I'm alive, every single day where I get the opportunity to do something great, something special, in spite of all the adversities and setbacks and different things like that, everything which I've learned up to this point, it's not for me, but it's to be able to serve at a high capacity. And guess what? Still growing and still learning. I hope I answered your question, ma'am.
You did. And it's interesting because I like to say a lot of times that God whispers in your ear, and if you don't listen, he gets a little louder, and you don't listen, he gets a little bit louder. And if you don't listen pretty soon, it's going to be a baseball bat. So it's a car accident. It's you lose all your money, you get mugged, you find out you got a disease. One of those things are going to be coming to just knock you to your knees. And you'd already been knocked to your knees. So it was like, heaven forbid, don't let that shit happen, right?
Agreed.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
100%.
So that's amazing. So let me ask you, you said you grew up where?
In Brooklyn, New York, straight
Brooklyn,
out
New
of
York.
projects. Straight out of
Okay,
projects.
okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Hmm.
So do you remember ever when you were little, was your family real religious or anything like that?
It's a great question. My mother, Louise Kathleen White, she was my first role model. I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of those that was very hardcore. And what I mean by that, if you grew up in the 70s or, around that time period, because I'm a Gen X, she was someone that was straightforward to the point, very blunt. It is what it is kind of person, as
Mm-hmm.
most people were. In which during that time, because she was a single parent, my father, he decided not to want to be in my life and my twin sister's life and my older sister. She had she had to play the role of both parents. Plus, being from the projects, it was just a different mindset because it was all about survival.
Right.
And so with that combined with, raising children, holding a 9 to 5 job, she had a great job. She was working with the state, but just along with the environment and everything in which that she learned, she did the best in which that she could as a parent,
As
right?
we all do.
Right, as we all do. So she was a type of person that she wasn't religious, but I believe that she had her way of being spiritual, and she was of high character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my aunt, on the other hand, I was religion. I want to be careful about that because, yeah, especially now. Okay, I'm gonna answer it this way because
Okay.
that can go down a rabbit hole. To answer your question, my aunt, she was spiritual. She was someone that attended church on a regular basis, and I believe she really set the foundation of letting me know on who God was.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was someone that was considered as a street kid. I didn't know anything about God. Didn't want to know anything about God. It was basically survival at that point. So the beautiful thing is I'm glad that there was someone that at least planted the seed and
Mm-hmm.
set the foundation, because as time went on and as I matured and went through my own path and everything in which I went through in life, I'm glad that she placed that foundation, that seed that I can be able to come back and reference on, right? It's just
Right.
like when we're working with clients and they may have self-limited beliefs or issues. The kind of work that me and you do, Vicky, is that we plant seeds. We are there as guides, as coaches, as motivators. We play so many different roles, so many different hats. What we're doing is that we're giving them the tools, and more importantly, we are planting the seed. So they may not get it right then and there. They may not get it the next day or next week, but eventually, right, they will get it, and it will come to pass because we're planting that seed in their subconscious mind. And basically that's what my aunt, my cousin Teresa, God rest her soul, my mother, my grandmother, and many other um you know people of influence, I want to say, that's what they were basically doing.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because I think sometimes if you haven't had some type of religious uh, influence in your life, some spiritual influence, you don't even hear that voice. You just keep walking, and it's like this muffled sound, and you
Correct.
never articulate it.
Correct.
And so it's beautiful. So that's why I was asking, because it's
Yeah.
a lot of people just, some people, even if they hear that voice, they just think it's their intuition telling them something, which I think our intuition is usually God speaking to us anyway. But that's just my beliefs.
I was going to say that. I was going to
Yeah,
say that
yeah.
too. I definitely was going to say that. See?
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
But I love working intuitively, because like before I get on a podcast or before I get on a live anywhere, or speak, I always, ask God, to give me the grace to speak effectively and touch hearts, and for the good of everybody involved. And to me, that's really important. And I'm sure from knowing you that it's your that's really important to you too. So I love all the things that you're doing, and I loved being on your podcast. But I want to dive a little bit more into you as a person.
Sure. Let's go.
So when you were young and you were in elementary school, what is your favorite, fondest memory of being in school, if you have one?
Hmm. Besides from getting in trouble.
I don't know how I knew you were a troublemaker.
Oh yeah, I was a what you would call like I was a demonite. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Whew, man, I used to get in so much trouble, but yet I was gifted as far as I was very book smart. I was
Mm-hmm.
very book smart and also was given the gift of imagination.
Oh
I
yeah, that's a good
remember
one.
I remember in English class, I used to get like honors because my imagination would just go. I was one of those type of kids, and now that I think about it, as far as we're doing the work, I used to use essays and creating books as a way of really escaping from the pain in which that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've learned is that when you're an author, that's one of the greatest joys of using your imagination, because you can go anywhere. You can be anybody. I used to find myself creating books, like comic books, because I was a comic book nut, right? Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, that whole bit. So I used to find myself like literally just creating books and just creating fictional characters. And
Do
I
you
used
still
to,
have any of that with you? Did you save any of that?
no, no,
Oh
no.
man.
I think about it, but I used to be one of those, like the teacher would say, I want you guys to do an essay on so and so and so and so, or come up with something, right? And for me, it would take a matter of moments. And I would literally do it. I would tell her, give me about 1 hour. She was like, no, Shawn, just bring it in. You got about a week. I would come back within an hour and be like, done. She was like, are you kidding me? This is actually done. And I'm like, done. And it would be so impressive that, and I'm not bragging or anything like that.
Go ahead and brag.
This is
Come
all
on,
by
man.
this is all by God's grace. But it would be so good that they would put it in fairs
Oh,
and like
nice.
different competitions. And so it was just one of those things, like my imagination just went wild, and I used to have fun, and I used to get very passionate and excited about that. So English class, definitely for sure. One of my fondest memories, definitely when um, we would have to speak to the school, and it can be on a particular topic. One of the things I used to love, history, right? Love talking about different people, whether it been Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Booker T. Washington, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. It didn't matter. When they give me that project, I would become obsessed in it, and I would do my research and just speaking to individuals and speaking to the school and to the principals, not realizing that this was the gift I was given. But to me, it became natural. I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea that I've been given a gift of speaking, but again, I use that as a way of, I guess, in some ways showing others that, guess what? I'm not dumb, right? I am smart enough. I am worthy enough, because you see, even though I didn't highlight my mother in such a positive manner, the flip side of that is because of the fact that she used to always get into me because she had a deep rooted resentment against my father, because I looked at every bit like him and I had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of his mannerisms. So for me, I developed an inferior complex at that time, and I always felt like I had to prove myself to my mother that I'm not him, right? That I am smart enough, that I am good enough. And to give you an example of what I mean about that, and then I'll allow for you to move on to the next question. I remember so many times that my sisters would come in, from school and from a test, and and they can get like 75s and 80s and 85s. Now, my mother was very strict. She didn't play about education. She didn't play at all. But with them, that was acceptable. With me, if I got a 90 or a 95, there were some things that happened to me that I cannot say on TV. Let's just put
Mm-hmm.
it that way, right? So basically, with that, I developed an inferiority complex, and I always felt like I had to prove myself, and that drove me in ways that wasn't positive, right? Because I was very rebellious, right? I did things I had no business doing. Let's be honest, right? But I always felt that need I had to prove myself, and so with that, that was something that even carried me from my teen to my adult years, and it even got me in trouble at times. But also too, it allowed me to be an overachiever on many things, in which that I had to, when I started doing the work, that was one of the things in which I started to notice, and I had to get a coach for that, obviously, and realize, like, you know what, you are smart enough, you are good enough, you are worthy. Why? Because God said so.
Right.
And
Right.
so that was so freeing, Vicky, because for carrying that burden for so many years, and then to come to that realization that I am smart enough, I am good enough, I am worthy. man, it was just so freeing. And that's the reason why I believe too, with that at the time when I was at my lowest point, when it could have been either death or life, transformation greatness was actually birth. So all that was set from the beginning, right? The seeds was actually planted even up until that time and even until about now. And this is where the evolution, as you see here. And I'm
Yeah.
still growing, still
Yeah.
growing.
Definitely. Well, when you're telling that story, one of the things that comes to mind is, you know, you were the male in the family, with two sisters, right?
I had to grow
And
up quick.
so some of that could have been, and I'm just playing the devil's advocate or
Sure,
whatever it is, right?
sure.
Is that especially in that time, guys were held to a different standard because guys were supposed to be the head of the house. They were supposed to be, in charge. And so I know that a lot of boys were held to really high standards because of that. And then the girls were more like, well, we need you to be doing the housework. We need you to be doing cleaning. These are the things we need you to do. Let's leave the smart stuff to the guys. And that's just what was going on back then. And so some of it could have been that aspect too, along with the fact that you looked like your dad. But I would say those two things together were probably one of the things that I would assume led your mom to being a lot harder on you than your sisters.
1,000%, a thousand
Yeah.
percent.
Yeah.
Because the area in which that I grew up in terms of poverty, not only financially but emotionally and spiritually, there were so many absentee fathers. It just became the norm for us, right? That was normal way of life. So if we came across someone that had both parents and they were thriving in my neighborhood in the hood, it was like that you were a celebrity. It's like to us, you were a billionaire. I'm not joking. You were like a
Wow.
billionaire. It was like, wow. And we would just be so envious, like, how is it like, man? Like, do they argue? Do they fight? Like, what's going on? And it's like it was very strange to us because that's not normal way of life.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's and that's the reason why too. Having like a healthy household is so important on so many levels. When you
Yeah.
have both parents in the home and they're thriving, that's the reason why it's not good if you have children to be arguing in front of your kids because they pick up on that. But
Well, they can pick up on it even if you're not
you
arguing.
you're not arguing. That's true
Because
too.
my parents, they didn't split up until I was in college, but I
Mhm.
knew that I could walk in the house when I got home from school and I could just feel the air. I'm going to my
Mhm.
room,
Mhm.
because the tension would be there. And they didn't really argue and fight in front of us, but you knew when it was happening because you could feel the energy of the space.
That's true too. That's
Yeah,
true too.
and so there were
That's true.
lots of times I thought, I wish they would split up because I thought maybe separately they would both be happy and then it wouldn't feel like this. So like I said, they split up when I was in college and I had a younger brother and sister, so they grew up with them in different places. And so they probably feel not the exact same angst that I felt, but just in a different way, you know?
True. True. That's true. That's
Yeah,
definitely true.
but when you're telling that story of the people that had both parents in the home being like celebrities, doesn't that really bring to light our perspective on everything of what, what we see and what we accept as part of our world, and then we see something that's outside of what our regular scope is, and it's like, whoa, look at
Exactly.
that,
Mhm.
it's amazing when you think of it. So anything that we want in our lives, all we have to do is start diving into what it would feel like to be that. And so it's beautiful stuff. So tell me a little bit more about what you do with Transformation Greatness.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that brand, as I mentioned, I'm a triple fold. So I'm a speaker. I am someone that I love to motivate and encourage and inspire people. So I had an opportunity to be able to speak at. It was an event with NAB that we actually had. And by the way, that was the National Association of Black Offenders. That was actually a movement for nonviolence. That was actually in Buckhead. I'm sorry, wasn't Buckhead? No, in Midtown. And I had an opportunity to speak and just share as far as my story and talk about my keynote speech, which was how to unlock the beast, 5 key principles to become that beast in your life. And that was pretty exciting. So as being the speaker portion, I also help with individuals as well that may like to, as far as be a speaker, have opportunities, especially if we're doing podcasts. That's one of the things where in terms of public speaking, you have individuals that may be afraid as far as to do a podcast due to whatever fears they have. So I love to help an individual in terms of like with public speaking skills. The coach aspect, because I'm a life coach, I'm actually certified in that, as well as with HMI Institute, which I'll get to the hypnotherapy in a second. But I love working with individuals in terms of the life coaching aspect, because the great thing is when you're working with human beings, people are very results oriented. And when you ask the right questions, when you really find out what's going on with an individual and you're able to work together to get underneath the surface level, to really get in deep and really work together. Notice what I'm saying, work together. Beautiful things happen of that. Beautiful
Mm-hmm.
things happen. And that is something that, because so many people have poured into me, being the life coach that I am, I just love it. And
Yeah.
I just love working with individuals. And also, I incorporate being a hypnotherapist practitioner because, as you mentioned, me and you went to the same school, HMI Institute. So, shout out HMI Institute, right? To be able to go on a much more deeper level with individuals, to be able to help them with so many different presenting issues. Because me and you both know it stems, for starters, through the subconscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
and to work with them on the mind, body, and spirit aspect, to really go deeper and to really work with them and provide them with the tools and techniques in which that we have learned and adopted, and use it in such a therapeutic and safe space that the results can either be instantaneous, but more importantly, me and you are concerned about the long term results that our clients do get. And that is something that is, I love
Mm-hmm.
being a hypnotherapist practitioner. I will scream this out to the hills. I don't care who doesn't like it. And I recommend this. Like, literally, it has been a complete game changer because it works with the human mind.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so much more than that. So much
Yeah.
more than that. And I just wish that people would really give hypnotherapy a good look, because when you're with an individual that has integrity, that has morals and ethics, that have your best interests at heart, it is such a beautiful thing. A
Yeah.
beautiful thing. And with that, that's with that. I'm a radio and TV personality with the Small Business Network, in which we give individuals the opportunity through TV and radio, and there's a whole lot more into that. But really, transformation greatness, it's who I am. It's someone that I am each and every single day. I don't turn this off because it's me.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
but,
Same
but,
here.
right. I mean, we can't. We can't. It's who we are. It's the assignment that has been given on us, and we have an obligation and a responsibility to fulfill that
Yeah.
assignment. And guess what? It's going to be individuals that may not like what we're doing, what we're about, but there's many others that are attracted to us, and so that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah. One of the things that some people say is that if you're not getting some people that don't like you, you're not talking to enough people,
1,000%.
right? Because there's
1,000%.
nobody that can please every single person.
That's
And
right.
just about what you were talking about just a second ago is I was on a call earlier with Stacy Lauren. We were doing a hot seat thing, And somebody in the hot seat reminded us about one of her mentors that says, if you're not sharing your gifts to the world, you're being selfish. And so it's nothing about, you know, just being scared and all of those things. That's an excuse. And especially like with hypnosis and the hypnotherapy and all that stuff, we can get people through all of those things, um, but what I like to do a lot of times is help them to turn it around to where it's not fear, it's excitement. It feels the same. You just have to reframe it. But the thing is
Always.
that we could be quiet and never say anything to anybody. But man, oh man, the people that you touch and the people that I touch with the work that we do, it's like, it every time somebody reaches out to me and tells me how much of a difference I've made for them, or they've been on my podcast and they say the same thing, it's like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm so glad I'm hitting the right people, because that's the main thing, is bring the right people around. And when you're out there doing this and you're emitting this frequency, this energy, the right people just start gravitating to you, right?
It's universal law, Vicky. It's
Yeah.
universal law. It's all about what you're putting out there, in which I love the way how you frame that, because if you put out selfishness, it's all about me, it's all about my business, about my product, my services, and go ahead and buy, then what you're basically telling individuals is that, listen, I'm only concerned about as far as with a paycheck and getting a dollar from you. And once that you have bought my product or service, I want nothing else to do with you. And so, with that, when you transmit that energy to someone, naturally a person's going to say, I don't want to even deal with this individual because I already know what time it is with them. However, if you use your gifts and talents in the right way, by serving people, by doing a podcast such as this, by giving out information, by over delivering in terms of value, then guess what? When it comes time for you to promote something. And more times than not, you may not even have to do that, because then the curiosity comes. Well, Vicky, you have been pouring so much value. I mean, you always delivering, you just help me so much. What is it that you do? What is it that you have going on? Now they're giving you permission to
Mm-hmm.
let them know of what you have going on. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If you have built the rapport, if you have built the value, if you have done what you have supposed to do as a human being, forget about a salesperson, forget about an entrepreneur, but as a
Right.
human being, now what happens is this. If they find value in what you have, because you have poured so much into them, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go ahead and buy. And
Yeah.
guess what? It was because of their decision. Why? Because of the fact that you have poured so much value into them. You were concerned about them first. And the thing about us with human beings is that when a person pours so much into us, we feel compelled that we have to do something, because most human beings are good at the surface level, right? Most human beings are. Now, obviously, there's an exception, of course, and you know who they are. But when a person is pouring that much value in, when a person is coming on here every single day or every other day, pouring into you, giving you knowledge, giving you information, helping you shift your frequency, your mindset, and really giving themselves a portion of them to you, because they understand that time is so precious and they cannot get back, right, that time, then what happens is that the person feels compelled, and they are even moved, and they're like, wow, I love what she has to offer. I love on what she stands for, on what she's about. And I would like to know, what does it look like to even work with Vicky on a
Mm-hmm.
long-term basis? And then from there, it's just a matter of dollars and cents on
Yeah.
whether it makes sense. Now, if you have really done your job and really done your assignment, there has been times where a person didn't have it, but they moved heaven and earth to make sure that they did.
Hmm.
I am a witness to that because I have done that many times when I
Myself as
invested
well.
into certain people, and it came right back. It's the law of reciprocity, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. So I hope that somebody has written that down. And I really hope and consider that as you are listening to Miss Poole, as you are attending as far as her classes through the community, right? As you are paying attention to her content, that you are really getting something out of it, right? Don't just come on and just listen like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, okay, she's nice, she's friendly. The knowledge and wisdom that she have is so invaluable, and guess what? And if you doubt that, she is teaching you guys universal law. What does that mean, Shawn? That means that what she's teaching you is accurate to the core. And guess what? It has to work because it is universal law. It has to work if you apply it. That is it. Cut and dry. There is no bait and switch. And what she's telling you is 100% accurate. And if I were you, if I were you, and you've been following Miss Vicky for quite some time, and you haven't reached out to her, my only question to you is why? And I'm gonna leave it right there. Why? That's a conversation to have.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Shawn. You know, I wasn't expecting that, but thank you.
That's just in my spirit. I'm sorry, that's just in my spirit.
That's all right. That's all right. We definitely got to have coffee sometime soon. I will tell you. So I know you've got a workshop coming up. So why don't
Yes, ma'am.
you tell a little bit about what that workshop is, and then you can tell how to connect with you about it. And then in the show notes, I will put the links so that people can. When is it again?
Sure, 1,000%. So the free workshop, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be August 24th. That's going to be a Saturday. And this is something that I'm very happy to do because with this free workshop, I'm going to be teaching those that attend on advertising, promoting as far as for your business, podcasting, so much more, guys. This is something in which that I believe a lot of individuals, especially in the times that we live in, they're looking as far as to grow a business, how to start a business, how to do a podcast, right? The branding aspect of it. This is something that people are really craving for. And in this workshop, I wanted to provide it for free because what's better than free? Right. So now it gives people an opportunity to be able to come, right, and really get that information, and also with the networking opportunities as well is going to be um limitless. Now, I will say this for all those that's want to attend. So, by the way, I'm in Duluth, Georgia. So, I'm calling for all those in the surrounding areas, such as Lawrenceville, Norcross, Swanee, Lilburn, Snellville, and a few others. If you do attend, then you will receive a $50 restaurant gift card, courtesy on myself and my partners at the SBN, the Small Business Network. However, if you choose to upgrade to tickets, which would be about $20, then what I'll do is that I'll give you $100 restaurant gift card. Plus, in addition, I'll give you $150 in incentive. So for more information on how you can attend, because I'm still working it out on whether it's going to be in the library or in the park. I'm thinking as far as the library, based upon of our offhand conversation, that makes sense. Then by all means, please get in contact with me at area code 470-542-9320. Again, that's 470 area code 542-9320. Or you can reach out to me on social media, and I'll make sure that you have my social media handles.
All right. Beautiful. Well, that's a heck of a lot of stuff you're giving just for coming to a free workshop.
Yes, ma'am. Because
Man.
because it's not about me. It's about the people, and we just alluded to that. When you have something that can potentially benefit the masses, you have to get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the worst things you can do is sit on gold, so to speak, and you're not sharing it. That goes back to the selfish aspect.
Right.
Based upon what our skill set and what we learned through the training and knowledge and with our mentors, wouldn't it be very selfish of us to say, well, you know what? I got what I wanted out to do. I don't want to help nobody. I don't want to share this out with anyone.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Unless you're really that kind of person that you're really all about yourself, then that's different. But for us as being light workers, as servant leaders, we are compelled to do so. And this is what drives us each and every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's beautiful. I love the idea behind all of that. And so I'll be anxiously awaiting to see where you end up having it. And if it all works, but remember, I still have a day job. So I'm usually working on Saturday, but I'll keep that in mind and make sure you have me on the mailing list so that I can get all the information you too. And if possible, I'll be there.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
All right. Well, we're getting close to time. So, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to share?
Yes, please, if you haven't, please follow Vicky Poole. Please follow and like and subscribe for Vicky Poole, the Enlightened Peach. You can follow her on all her social media handles. She is someone that I have deemed as being a light worker, and I don't call everyone a light worker, so she is a light worker indeed. And she's someone that just, in my opinion, a breath of fresh air
Aw,
and someone that's so much needed in this space. So by all means, follow her, reach out to her, message her. If you have like a presenting issue or anything like that of the sort, just send her a DM. Send her a DM, and I'm pretty sure that you guys can work it out. I'm pretty sure, I'm not quite too certain if you do like free like 15 minute or 20-minute consults. I'm
I
not sure how to
do.
wait. Okay,
Yeah, I
awesome.
do. Yeah.
Then there you guys go. There you
Yeah.
guys go. So you ain't got no excuse now, okay? It's a
That's
free
right.
15-minute consult. It's free. Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you beat free? I'm listening. But you can't beat free. Come on. There you go. Me as well, guys. So
Yes, definitely, Shawn. We got to reach out and check out his business and go to his workshop if you're local. Heck, if you're not local, come on in. It's still it'll still work,
for sure.
Um, it's been such a pleasure having you here, and I know you're part of my Stand Up and Stand Out community on Facebook, and I love having you there. You're always when you're there live, you're always giving the best little tidbits of advice and all that stuff. So I greatly appreciate you. So I just want to make sure you know that. And I'm going to leave everybody with one of my favorite quotes. And the thing that's interesting is every time I say this quote, somebody will tell me a different person that said this quote. So I still don't know who did it, but it doesn't really matter. I know I didn't say it originally, so I'm putting it out there that it does belong to someone else originally. But it's the best way to predict the future is create it. And to me, that is so powerful and means so much because we can create whatever the heck we want to if we get out of our heads and start seeing what's possible.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. It's your quote now.
Well, I did add all the other stuff to it, I will
You
say.
got you. You got you.
Well,
Beautiful.
thank you everybody for being here live and for watching the replay. I'm going to be putting this on all my podcast channels, and so make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. And you can actually ask questions, make comments, and then I'm sure that either Shawn or I can get back and look at them and see what questions you have. And in the meantime, I will see you soon. Mwah.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.